Our next speaker is Cory Burnell. He's also a very good speaker, and he has quite a background in the Constitution and also history. He's been on Fox News 4 times and on all kinds of different talk shows on political subjects. He did several things for the Taxpayers Association that are not forgotten. Several years ago, he did a study on the bond issue, did a report on that bond issue, and he exposed $6.6 million that they were slipping into there to avoid the vote of the people. He also did an economic report in the county, and since our economy is tied to our currency, which is the federal government controlling, and particularly the Fed, he had to also show what's ahead of us in store with current policies continuing. Now, he'll elaborate that on a little bit perhaps, but it was so scary that the Board of Supervisors didn't even want to talk about it because it didn't bode well. Back then, we weren't in the situation we are now. If they paid attention to him then, they would have been more wiser now, and we'd have less strain in the county budget because they would have anticipated what's happening now and what's likely to happen in the coming years. Cory, you're so welcome to come and share your wisdom with us. Thank you.
Well, Al mentioned a few things there we've done here at the Taxpayers Association, but I'm going to talk to you all today about what we're doing in the Tea Party movement, which the Taxpayers Association has been integral in starting here in Calaveras County. We've had 4 tea parties, if I'm not mistaken, April, July, September, and April. So when we started the first tea party, we had about 200 people show up here in Calaveras County at Utica Park. Then we did a 4th of July tea party where we struggled to have about 80 people come out as we competed with all sorts of other events, of course, that weekend. Then September 12th, we brought Sheriff Richard Mack from Arizona. He's a former sheriff there, and he's friends with Joe Arpaio, and y'all might be following Joe and what's going on with immigration in Arizona. Yeah. And so with Sheriff Mack, we had 450 people turn out for that tea party. So that was quite a display here. And in fact, on that subject, we do have DVDs for you for free about that tea party. If you were not able to attend, you can see what Sheriff Mack came to tell us on September 12th last year. They're over there on our table, our literature table, and just grab a DVD and take that and share it. Make as many copies as you can. And then April 15th, we had our largest tea party yet here at Utica Park, where we had approximately 600 people come and go, and that was quite a success. That was April 15th, Tax Day, and tea parties, of course, were going on all over the country that day. So to give you a little idea about the Tea Party movement and why it exists, I want to tell you some things that are going on with it here and nationally. The Tea Party movement came about really as a tax protest, and really it's morphed into a protest about the overwhelming burden of government that we see at the federal and the state and county levels. As we look at that now, we're seeing budget deficits that are about $1.5 trillion at the federal level. And just recently I saw an article that said if you combine the budget deficits of states around the country, that's $82 billion in budget deficits among the states in the fiscal year 2010. Now, not to get too wonky here as far as how this matters, if you put this in perspective, and this article was complaining that $82 billion deficits among the states is just outrageous, terrible, never seen the likes of it, that type of rhetoric. But if you take $1.5 trillion at the federal level and divide that by 50 states, you got another $30 billion there. So, to put the $1.5 trillion in perspective, if $82 billion is bad at the state level, $1.5 trillion is another $30 billion per state. And this $82 billion I'm mentioning was all 50 states. So the $1.5 trillion is outrageous. The Congressional Budget Office thought that we would be back under $1 trillion deficit this next fiscal year, and now we see that the White House is projecting $1.42 trillion deficit this next fiscal year. So as we look at estimates going forward from Washington, D.C., they're going to continually, well, they're already bad, but they'll continually be revised worse as the actual events unfold. In fact, the deficit in April of this year for the federal government was $82 billion, just that month of April. Now, April is the one month of the year, and you might be able to figure out why, that the federal government runs surpluses. That's when we pay our taxes, right? They couldn't even do that this year. In fact, on Wall Street, we were expecting a $40 billion deficit in April, and it was 82. So surprise, surprise, that's what's going on at the federal level, and why in the Tea Party movement, the concern about the burden of government is paramount and really the center focal point. As you look at these deficits that government's running, this last fiscal year, 41 cents of every dollar the federal government spending this fiscal year, which ends September 30th, 41 cents of every dollar is borrowed money. Now, could you run your operation, your business, or your home that way where 41 cents of every dollar you spent was borrowed money? You'd be broke in a hurry. One friend back there said, well, we just need a printing press like they've got, and that would fix everything. So maybe we can do that here. Russ, can you get to work on that? Can we get a printing press in San Andreas? All right, so that gives you an idea about what we're up against at the federal level, why the Tea Party is so focused on the burden of government and taxation, and the notion that we're going to fix these deficits through revenue raises or increases is, well, it's farcical to say the least. I mean, if 60 cents of every dollar is what our revenue is producing, we're borrowing 41 cents. We're just adding debt on top of debt. Now, the cost of the debt going down the line is going to get absolutely massive. We're already running about 20% of federal revenues are spent on debt service. Well, as we pile this up, the amount of federal revenues that are spent on debt service will get astronomical. So the Tea Party movement is concerned about cutting spending rather than fixing the problem with raising revenue. So as you see debates going on in Washington about, well, we've got to let these tax cuts expire come this next year, the Tea Party movement, of course, would be adamantly against that nationwide because what really needs to happen is spending cuts, and that means saying no to a lot of special interests and a lot of promises that have already been made. The situation gets a lot worse, of course, when you project out entitlements and Social Security and Medicare, and so I won't depress you because somebody might get suicidal if we go too far here. Now, there is some hope here. On September 12th, we have 49 Tea Party events going on around the country, and typically there are a lot more. However, September 12th, there's going to be the massive Tea Party in Washington, D.C. Now, to bring you up to speed, last September 12th, estimates were 1.5 million to 2 million people turned out in Washington, D.C. for the Tea Party there. Really only Fox News covered it accurately. There were some coverage on CNN, but you want to stay kind of in tune with how that goes down. I don't know that we'll turn out as many people this September 12th as people who went last time maybe can't go, but we'll see. So we're going to have two Tea Parties in this neighborhood, one here in Angels Camp at Utica Park on September 12th. It's at 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock. We'll have guest speakers and food and music and fellowship. Hopefully we will turn out a good crowd. Now we're competing with a Tea Party in Sacramento that same day and same time, and they have some pretty good speakers there too. So if you end up in Sacramento, that will be a good event. But if you don't, bring your friends and family to the event here in Angels Camp so we can make that a success. And what we're doing this Tea Party, why we need your involvement, this is a bit different than what's gone on previously. Previous Tea Parties, we've attempted to get people involved with current organizations like the Taxpayers Association and the Campaign for Liberty. But this time around, we're taking a page out of the NorCal Tea Party Patriots book, and we've got a committee that's working on this with Sheila Rousseau and Peter Race and Tanya Dowson and Donna, wherever she's at. There's Donna. And so we're going to be a bit more prepared to get people actively involved on September 12th. We're going to have a number of committees that people can sign up for on various issues, and some things we'll be employing, hopefully, or soliciting their involvement for will be committees on property rights, taxation, legislative action, gun rights, membership committee in the Tea Party movement, marketing, fundraising, public relations, education, a committee that will dovetail with what Shauna just talked about in the Constitution classes. Hopefully we can get a number of those going on around the county. So we want to get as many people turned out on September 12th that we can get plugged into committees that have, well, really that are issue-driven, that kind of light their fire, something that they're excited about. One may be a schools committee. We have a number of people in our midst who are excited about involvement in school districts here. So that's what we'll be doing on September 12th. We do have some flyers on that subject. Nationwide Tea Party here. It's over on the table. Again, 1 o'clock. It's a Sunday. So hopefully you can turn out and do pick those flyers up and take them with you. Pick up a copy of the September 12th Tea Party speech by Sheriff Richard Mack, and you'll see that there's a number of things we can do at the local level that will really impede some federal intrusion in our county if we have the right people in office at the local level. That was really his message, very effective. All right, last couple of housekeeping items. You want to visit the website for our local Tea Party. That's calaverastteaparty.com. Very difficult to remember. Jot it down on the back of your hand, calaverastteaparty.com. If you want to come to a monthly meeting about the Tea Party movement and things that are going on in it, the closest thing you're going to get to is our Campaign for Liberty meetings. It's an Angels Camp, the third Thursday every month at the Mercantile, about 6 o'clock. And that website is calaverasc4l.com. You can see me if you're interested in attending that. And then lastly, you need to be coming to the quarterly luncheons with the Taxpayers Association, because Al and the Taxpayers Board bring some very interesting speakers in. They'll keep you informed, and it serves as a fundraising event for the Taxpayers Association that really is our boots on the ground here at with local government, keeping track of what it is they're trying to do to us. Not for us, but to us. So beware. I'll finish up with a joke. What do you call 25 IRS agents skydiving? Skeet. Skeet.